Hey guys, I'm Colin Wright, and I'm going to try to answer some questions that I got in my email inbox today. The first question is, how did you start building your audience initially, and how did you grow it? Great question, and something that's difficult, and it's very different depending on which platform you're on. When I started building my audience about 7 years ago, it was a very different landscape than it is now. I started in the blogging world and then expanded from the blog to social media. In a lot of cases these days, people maybe do that in reverse. They start with social media and then they move to a place where they start writing more concretely or where they own the platform, like a blog. Either way you do it, though, it kind of works on the same fundamental principles. And for me, what worked, and for a lot of people who I respect, what worked, is that you start producing something of value, and you utilize the time in which nobody's following you to make a lot of valuable mistakes. So if you're writing, for example, you write like crazy, and you write every day, several times a day if you can, and you learn and you refine your style, and you produce things that you think will be valuable for somebody. But you do it in such a way that you're not waiting for perfection before you publish it. Because one, you'll never get to perfection. That's not something that ever happens. But two, if you wait until you polish something until it's the best that you can possibly do right then, chances are you'll never learn. You won't get valuable feedback from people on the other side of things. And you won't be building up a library then of ideas, and you won't develop your voice quite as quickly. So going through the entire publication process is something that's valuable. And that's whether you're writing or whether you're doing YouTube videos. What I'm doing right now, being unfamiliar and kind of a newbie to YouTube, is I'm producing videos like crazy. And the ones that I'm publishing now, I already have things that I would do differently if I was doing them today. But that's just a sign that I'm learning quickly. It's a little bit embarrassing sometimes, but it allows me to iterate very quickly. It allows me to go from Colin version 1 to 1.1 to 1.2, and then I reach a production version much faster, something that I can be really proud of much faster. And so the way that this helps you grow your audience is that you're producing and people can see you growing, but you're also building up an archive. You're building up a back catalog of work. And so when people see something, they see a hook. Maybe it's one of your posts, or maybe it's something you put on social media, or a particular video that catches their eye, then they see that you are not a fly-by-night character. You're not somebody who posted one video and then disappears. You're somebody who has a back catalog. And so they watch that one video, or they read that one blog post, and then they go through and read your other stuff. And now that they've read or seen multiple things that you've produced, they have a better idea of who you are. And that is you branding yourself. This is you telling your story. It's explaining who you are facet by facet until there's a really round version of you out there for people to take a look at. Now that's the core of building an audience. That's you producing your body of work. On top of that, in this age of social media where we can communicate with each other so aptly and ably, I would argue that it's great to also be a good community member. And that means reaching out. You don't have to be on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Use whichever networks make the most sense for you, the type of work you do, the type of life that you want to live, the type of interactions you want to have. But wherever you happen to be a good neighbor. Help people out when you have the chance, allow other people to help you, interact as much as makes sense, but be yourself. Wherever you happen to be yourself. And the real trick, the thing that people don't like to hear also, is that there is no trick. Is that if you are yourself repeatedly and over time, maybe over the course of years, some people do it faster, for other people it takes a whole lot longer, but if you are yourself over a period of time, in an accessible way, publicly, and in a way that continues to bring people back, you will build an audience. And there's other tricks that you can utilize in things, but these tricks are kind of like the lottery. Like for some people it works and they have overnight success. A lot of people who have overnight success tend to have their audience numbers collapse the next day. I can tell you offhand a dozen people that I know that this has happened to, where they get 1 million people overnight and then none of those people ever visit again. Much better, in my opinion, to build slowly over time, but to build an audience of people who really appreciate you and what you're doing, who will stick with you through thick and thin because they appreciate who you are at the core, not just one gimmicky thing that you did once that happened to get on the front page of Reddit. So the concise version of this is know who you are, be yourself in public, and be the best possible version of yourself in a way that's helpful to other people. And if you do this repeatedly and over time, then you cannot help but build up an audience. The next question today, if you could change one thing in your life, what would it be? I always have trouble with this type of question, frankly, because usually it's alluding in some way to like some type of regret, like what would you change, who would you be, what decision would you have made differently, what aspiration would you achieve right now. And to be quite honest, like I have a lot of things that I'm working toward and things that I would love to add to my life. But the pursuit of these things is part of the pleasure of it. It's the journey. The journey, as much as the destination, is great. And this is why every time you reach a new goal, you tend to set off on another path towards another goal. The way that I usually explain it is that every new horizon just introduces 3 new horizons. You reach that top of that mountain and you see 3 new horizons. And so for me, like the cresting of that mountain, the climbing of that horizon is part of what's interesting. And so there's like myriad different things that I want in my life and things that I am actively pursuing. But I wouldn't cut the distance between me and those goals if I had the opportunity. I wouldn't say, I want all these things now, okay, now I'm done. I like the thrill of the chase. I like to live life in such a way that I always have something to look forward to. So I guess I don't really have a good answer to this. I don't think I would change anything, not immediately. If I could have superpowers, I think I would do that. I think obviously that the correct choice, if you could change anything in your life, is to give yourself superpowers, or like a robotic arm or something. If you have a question you'd like me to answer on air, feel free to leave it in the comments below, or you can send me a message on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. I'm on Snapchat. I'm kind of all over the place, so reach out and ask, and hopefully the answer that I give to your question will help somebody else as well. You can also give a great big thumbs up like to this video. That would be helpful. You can subscribe or share with your friends. And if you want to find out more about me and my work, you can go to colin.io. Thanks, guys.